thank you guys for joining us tonight. My name is Lizzie Sordia, creator of Angelman Today, and if you are new to the page, I just wanted to share with you, I am an angel mom. My son Nathan is now 13 years old, and if you know anything about me, or the one thing you need to know about me is, as an angel mom, I am always looking for solutions. And I know, having spoken to many of you, you guys are also looking for solutions. And on this page, what I try to do is make sure that I am sharing things that can help our daily life, because that's so important. You know, just day to day is such a challenge. And one of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention is, if you haven't heard it already, there is a CBD product called Wings, and it was also started by another wonderful angel mom who I'm about to introduce to you. You know, it's like our theme. Angel moms and dads are working so hard to provide the best for their kids, and it is such a struggle. There's so many things that our kids are challenged with, from seizures to, you know, feeding problems, to digestive problems, to walking, communication. There's, you know, so many things that our kids are faced with, and it is just a challenge to get through every day. And so there is an amazing product that I have discovered, and I want to share that with you, not just because I heard that it was an amazing product, but because we also started using this product. So, and that's what I like to do on this channel, is I want to make sure that the things I'm sharing with you are things that either I use personally in our daily life, or I know of people who have had great success with it. So I wanted to bring Shari on and introduce you to her. She is an amazing angel mama who has really set out on this journey to get her daughter Elizabeth results. You know, when we're struggling with things like seizures and communication, and the hardest thing is the lack of communication, because as parents, we're guessing a lot of the times. We have to guess if they have a stomach ache. We have to guess if something hurts. Like the other day, you know, Nathan was walking in the hallway, and all of a sudden he dropped his iPads and sat on the floor and grabbed his toe. Well, I have to figure out, okay, what that means. Obviously something's wrong with his toe, and I got to figure out, what is it? Did he step on something that's stuck in his toe? And you know, we have to work so hard at trying to communicate with our kids just based on what we can visually see. So, okay, let me get back to it. Shari's going to share her story with you guys in a minute. Once it started working, we want to share that success with other parents, because we know what you're going through every day. We know the challenges that you face. So tonight we're going to get into it. We're going to have some real talk. We're going to have answer any questions that you guys may have as well. Some of you guys posted on Instagram page, so I'm going to try to get to those. But Shari, welcome, my friend. Tell us, what was the inspiration behind creating this product and sharing it with the world, essentially?
Well, once I had researched what properties you should have with your cannabinoids, I found that it wasn't something I was going to be able to purchase. I was going to basically have to make my own strain that had the terpenes that I wanted to be able to try to relieve the symptoms that we have. Because the different terpenes have different effects and can kind of drive the cannabinoids to help those certain symptoms at the same time as the cannabinoids are also working as an anti-inflammatory. And once I had been able to source the isolated terpenes and the hemp extract, got MCT oil, and I got everything all mixed up, the things that happened were crazy. I had not seen posts where people in the community had said CBD had done that much for their kids. I knew that it was doing good things, and that's why I looked into it, but not this crazy of things. The very first thing I saw with Elizabeth was that her gait improved and she was walking better. Wow. 6 weeks into it, she said her first word. She said, "Mom."
Wow.
And we were seeing really big changes. And I was sharing with a few of the Angelman parents, and they wanted to try it. And then word got out to some of the harder seizure kids, and they wanted to try it, and it was helping with their seizures. Everybody just started, talking to each other about it, and it got to where I needed to kind of create a business because it was too much to not be a business.
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen crazy, crazy things. We've seen 3-year-olds within a few months becoming independent walkers. We've seen non-epileptic myoclonus calmed down. We have seen wings work as a precursor to having to use rescue meds, and rescue meds not having to be used, which can change the whole game right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's been kind of endless. GI health has improved. Cyclic vomiting has stopped. Cognition, big cognition improvements, communication improvements, whether you're starting to point at what you want or take someone to what you want, using your iPad device better to talk. Because you also get fine motor improvements, which helps you just even on the picking of what you're choosing on the AAC. Deeper rest, even parents that thought their kids were sleeping well notice a big difference just in a deeper rest and longer sleeping. And if you get better sleep, you're going to have overall improvements all the way around.
Absolutely.
We've had a lot of parents that have either decreased seizure medications, come completely off of medications. It's been amazing.
Yes. And so how Shari knows all of this is because when Shari started her wings product, she also has a group, and it's specifically for our families with Angelman Syndrome. And so this is full of families that are using the product and then have been sharing their success. So again, disclaimer, by no means is this selling any kind of miracle, overnight success, anything like that. But a lot of us are experiencing these things, and we're talking about benefits with sleep, anxiety, seizures. Elizabeth spoke her first words, which was "Mom." And what else did she say, Shari? You told me earlier.
A couple of days later, she muttered out, "My name is Elizabeth."
Amazing.
Yeah, I was trying to get her to say "Mom" again, and I was pointing at myself and saying, "What's my name?" And she pointed at herself. "My name is Elizabeth," she said.
Oh, wow.
And the cat was out of the bag. I knew it was all in there. She just couldn't get it out. The kid blurted out a complete sentence. She knew her name. The cognition, it's in there.
Yes.
She can't say that anymore. She still says "Mom," but she can't say "My name is Elizabeth" anymore, although she does remember when she did it. But that's as far as her speech did progress. But it was still a big progression.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes they just surprise us.
Yeah.
With
always.
Things like that.
Yeah.
I see that with Nathan. And so how I became familiar with the product was hearing the success from other parents. As many of you know, Nathan has been on the therapeutic diet to help with his seizures. We have had amazing success with that. And then recently, as he's become a teenager, he's now 13, we started struggling with sleep again. And I work with a physician here in Florida who is very familiar with CBD and hemp and THC. We started talking about that option. Not sure if many of you know, but here in the United States, we have different states with different legal aspects of it. Some have the ability to purchase products. Some states are heavily regulated. And so in my state, I have to have a state license, and I have to work with a doctor who understands and is educated about these products, because it's important to know if you have possible interactions with medications. Some of the products that are approved by insurance companies, you have to take a very high dose to be effective. And Shari, you can talk about that. When you have to take a high dose of a CBD product that also has other things in it, other additives that are not so great, I myself prefer more pure products, which is another reason why I like wings. But the danger can be when you have to take high doses of something with additives, and they could potentially cause problems and interact with other medications, and that's a concern for parents. But with wings, we don't have to take a lot to get results. And that was the amazing thing. I was concerned, and this was one of the topics I was talking to my doctor about. With a FDA approved medication, sometimes the dose is a lot higher. And I was very concerned about that. And my doctor explained to me, well, when you're with this dose, the dose that Nathan's in, he said, you don't have to worry about it. You're not at a high dose. You're not going to break your kid, I promise you. And as parents, that's our biggest concern, is always making sure that we are taking care of their health the best way that we can. And when we're adding multiple medications, medication after medication, and then we have seizure breakthroughs, or we're not getting sleep, or they have anxiety, and we're adding more medications. And when we go to the doctor, we're hoping to get results. We want answers. We want to try to help our kid. And the only thing we get in return from doctors is, well, let's keep chasing the dose. Let's increase it. Let's increase it. Let's add another medication. And all of this is experimental. And that's where we come into these challenges. So that was always my biggest concern, is I don't want to continue to add all of these other products that will give us potential side effects down the road. And so that's one of the reasons why I like wings. Shari, can you tell us a little bit about that and some of the concerns parents might have when it comes to possible interactions and what you've done
Sure.
differently in wings?
Sure. When you use just the single CBD molecule, it's an isolate. And one of the biggest things with cannabinoids is the entourage effect and the ability to work synergistically with all the cannabinoids and the terpenes and the full plant rather than one molecule. You get much more benefit. And by getting more benefit, you also use a much, much smaller dose. You're hitting more cannabinoid receptors in the body, and you're providing a better balance. It's all about balance. We have an endocannabinoid system in our body. In fact, we have our own natural THC in our body. It's called anandamide. So what we're doing with the cannabinoids, they're exocannabinoids that we're putting into our body to help balance our endocannabinoid system. And they can bind to the CB2 receptors that are throughout our body and provide us with balance and health, and it really helps out our kids. One of the really unique characteristics of cannabinoids for our kids is that they can cross the blood-brain barrier. And that is something that is notoriously difficult to do. We want to keep things away from our cerebrospinal fluid and our brain, and so it's very difficult for things to get in there. But cannabinoids can get in there, and they're very good anti-inflammatories, so we can help address the inflammation in the brain for our kids. And the terpenes then also help out to drive the cannabinoids to help further in specific symptoms, like using an example could be lavender, which everybody knows to be relaxing and calming, good for anxiety, sedation. That's because of the terpene that's prevalent in lavender, and that's linalool. Linalool is also something found in cannabis, and it's one of the terpenes are where we get our strains of cannabis. If you've heard of the different strains, and they give you different effects and different smells to the plant, it helps give the different effects to different strains. So basically, I just made this an Angelman Syndrome strain, I guess you'd say. Two of them, one for the daytime and one for the nighttime. And it has, honest to God, worked to help with nearly every single symptom of Angelman Syndrome, from GI health to neurological, seizure, cognition, motor control. It can touch maybe not all of them for everybody, but it seems to have made a significant impact on the overall health of our kids. And when our kids feel better, they behave better. When they behave better, we behave better. We feel better. When they sleep, we sleep. When their caregivers are not getting beat up, they can have more fun with them. The teachers can actually teach them. It's a benefit for everybody who is around these kids, not just for the kids themselves even.
Right. Absolutely. Because I noticed, because of this change, because it wasn't seizures, we have seizures well under control with his low glycemic diet. But my doctor was talking to me about, this change now. He's 13 years old. And so sometimes we just need a little support in that area. And when he sleeps all night, I feel so much better. I don't think parents really understand how much damage is done to us personally with our health, our brains, our metabolisms, our patience levels, so many aspects that when we're not sleeping and our stress hormones are elevated, it just has a compounding negative effect on our health across the board, from our head to our toe. And
you can easily see in our kids that absolutely everything goes downhill for them when they've had a bad night's sleep. You can see more seizures, more behaviors, more anxiety. Everything gets worse if they don't have sleep. So just by improving their rest, we can help turn a lot of other things around just with that one little thing.
Right. And what I love about it is you don't need a large dose of it. Nathan just takes his nightly dose in the evening, and that's it. Although I have to say, I think one of the other factors that a lot of other parents talk about too is the interrupted sleep, is if they have a leak through their diaper or urination, something like that, that can also trigger them to wake up. So when they're not sleeping, there's so many reasons that it could be. It could be seizures. Our job is to try to unpack that and get to the source of it and try to help as much as we can, because when we're helping our kids be better, be healthier, then in turn, it helps us as parents kind of survive this, because it's not easy.
There's nothing easy about Angelman syndrome.
No, not at all. And that's why it's
tools in our toolbox.
And so, Shari, I wanted to also get past the different states' regulations and all of the limitations they try to put on our lives. I think the federal government, local state government should not have a say on what we discuss with medical treatments. They should be strictly between our doctors and us as parents, because they don't understand how hard it is to live with a child with disabilities and have life-threatening epilepsy, sleepless nights, all of that. And so you have made this available, not just all over the US, but tell us, Shari, because a lot of people don't know, how can they get this product?
I specifically used hemp because of the low THC and the broader legality of it. It's legal to ship throughout the United States, and to many different countries. And in our community, we need as much help as we can get. And yes, I will ship anywhere in the world. Wonderful. And I will do that, you know, incognito or whatever needs to be done, so long as we can get it to the kids that need it. I would have to add, the tincture could be improved slightly with just a little bit more THC, but then I couldn't even ship it outside. You know, I couldn't put it in the mail whatsoever. So yeah, it does a remarkable job at what it is already. And I currently have, there's 2 THC molecules, the Delta 8 and Delta 9, and there's some issues over the legality of Delta 8 right now because it's derived from hemp. So everybody who is pro-cannabis says that the D8 is legal because it's from the hemp plant. And the FDA didn't put anything specific into the Farm Bill about that. So if a person contacts me on a private level through Messenger, we can get them the THC to add with their wings. And that does really make a big difference when you're trying to treat some of the harder seizures. It just adds a little more synergy to the whole thing and gives you a little more balance. But I went with hemp so I could get it to everybody.
That is wonderful. Okay, so I'm looking for comments. I had one question on Instagram. They asked, have read that mixing Onfi and clonazepam may not be so good. What are your thoughts on that? And also your thoughts on NEM experiences?
We have had some success in calming down the non-epileptic myoclonus in some of these kids. In some cases, it's gone very, very well. In some cases, they may go 3 or 4 months without having an episode, but it does seem to make a difference. Where oftentimes parents are just not being able to see any results from the pharmaceuticals that they've been using. Typically, this does seem to be controlled better when we add the THC to it with the wings. We use very low doses with wings because of the synergy. So an example of a 100-pound child would start on 10 milligrams of wings per day. If you were to start on the prescription CBD isolate that's FDA approved, your starting dose would be 250 milligrams. So you're talking a starting dose difference of 10 milligrams versus 250 milligrams, and a high-end dose of probably 50 milligrams versus 2,500 milligrams. When you're taking 2,500 milligrams of something, you're going to have interactions with medications. You're going to have side effects from it. It's still only the single molecule. You're still not going to see all of the same effects as you do from a full spectrum plant product. And with wings at 50 milligrams, there's no problem for the liver to break that down and get it out of your body, even if you're on Onfi, which is broken down in the liver the same way. The problem that they're seeing with the CBD isolate and Onfi is that the natural plant-based CBD is broken down in the liver first, and then it starts breaking down the Onfi. And if you haven't been able, your liver hasn't been able to clear both of those before your next dose, then you're building on top of the Onfi that's still left in the blood, and your Onfi levels continue to rise. Next thing you know, your kid is in the ICU. But with the very small doses we use with wings, it's easily cleared through the liver by the next dose, and I haven't seen it have any interactions with any other medications. And really, I've not really heard of any side effects either. All the effects are positive. We do have a few kids that it just doesn't seem to work for, and you're going to have that with anything. But far and away, the results and things that I have heard from parents have been very positive.
You know, we get caught up in the same thing doctors do. We think that's the way, where as if a anti-seizure medication is not working. What do they always say? Let's chase the dose. Let's increase it. Let's increase it. Let's add another medication. What happens
Yeah.
when, what's the difference with wings if we reach a point where it's ineffective? What are some of the signs that we should know of, and what can we do?
Yes, people will use CBD products and they'll see good results. And after a while, they'll feel like it's not really helping or doing anything anymore. And the first reaction that we all have is increase the dose. You know, they've
Right.
gained a tolerance to it. What is actually happening is you're overbalancing the endocannabinoid system and you're going the other way. Where they were underbalanced, they're now overbalanced. And all the same symptoms come back. You'll start having worse sleep, you'll have worse behaviors, more anxiety, seizures can come back. And what actually needs to happen is you need to lower the dose. It's all about getting into the sweet spot. And if you get a cold or an illness, you might just bump the dose just a tiny bit while you're sick, but then bring it back down. And if you see symptoms starting to come back through that had been doing pretty well, I would generally suggest trying to decrease the dose just a little bit before you increase it, unless you've gained a lot of weight and gotten older. Perhaps you actually do need more. But it's just such a misconception that more and more, that your body is just used to it and you need more.
Yes, that is a
You're
great
oversaturated.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Shari does have on her website just some guidance to help parents understand where they should be dosing. And again, she is available in the group that she has created, Wings for Angelman Syndrome. I also learned this because multiple medications had failed for Nathan as well for seizures. When you're actually looking at some of the side effects, depending on the medication that you're on, but I looked for the side effects that Nathan was on, and some of the side effects listed for anti-seizure medication is actually more seizures. So, you know, you have to be aware of what you're dealing with. So look at the side effects of the anti-seizure medication that they're taking. Be aware of that. Also look at the emergency medication that you could possibly have to give in case of emergency. That was something that we learned the hard way. It had an interaction with the other anti-seizure medications that Nathan was already on. So I was tired of dealing with these potential side effects because they were life-threatening in an emergency situation. We had to call the ambulance. And so that's very, very dangerous. Parents, we don't want to be learning the hard way. And unfortunately, my doctor didn't even tell me the side effects and the possible interactions of the medication that he was already taking. So this is really important information. So
and we have parents that have been able to use Wings and rub on the gums, just use a dose and put on the gums when they see a seizure start happening before they grab the rescue meds, and the kids will come out of the seizure and not even need to use the rescue meds, which can save the day. You don't have to give the addictive, nasty medications. It's worth a try, at least. Maybe you still got them there to follow up with if the Wings doesn't happen to help, but we've actually seen a lot of success in people not having to give rescue meds.
That is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing with us tonight, Shari. I really appreciate the time that you've given us to help understand what Wings is, all your terminology, all of that. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. As parents, we're just trying to find out things that work for our kids. All of our kids are very, very different. So this is a journey that you will have to figure out, medications, therapies, everything. But we wanted to come on and let you know that you're not alone on this journey. We're all trying to figure it out, and we're sharing the success that we have so that you can take this information and apply it to your life in the best way that you see fit for your loved one with Angelman syndrome, because there is a large spectrum. Our kids are not all the same, even though they have that one genetic piece whether it's missing or whatever the genetic aspect of it is, they're still so very different. So we just wanted to bring you some solutions tonight and let you know of the group. If you guys have any more questions, you can please feel free to reach out to me, send me a message, comment on the video below, or connect with Shari as well. I will leave the link to her Wings website that is loaded with information, and she has multiple products to help with your different needs.
Amazing Grace is the one for our kids, though.
Yes.
The Amazing Grace Day-Night set covers the most symptoms and gives the most relief, I guess we should say.
Okay. Yes. So you can find that on her website, and she has a lot of information to help you with dosing, to understand it. So again, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. I didn't want to take up too much of your time, but I wanted to get this information out to you because I see your posts, you are wanting information, and this product can help with sleep, anxiety, seizures, so many of the things that we are looking for to help our kids just get through every day. Thank you all. And again, you are not alone. We're in it together.
We're a family.
We are.
And we try to help each other. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shari, for bringing this thing
to Anybody has questions, let me know.
Thank you, Shari. You guys have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.